Hey, everybody. Welcome to Camel City Chat. And I am here with the Honorable John R. Bost. And I say it like that because he is the boss. And you're going to tell me it's your what? How long you been married?
We've been married now 46 years.
46 years. So I want to talk about you. I called you Honorable because you've been elected and served as Mayor of Clemmons. And so we'll get to that. But, I got to ask you the three questions on Camel City Chat. Everybody gets the same three on the front and the back. First one is, Honorable, where are you from and how long you been in Winston-Salem?
I was born in Statesville, lived there for 9 years, moved to Winston-Salem, where my dad had completed a GI Bill certification and was hired at Western Electric. Lived in Winston-Salem all my life. I took a 20-year hiatus out and taught in Lexington and Davidson County, but been in Clemmons now for 21 years.
All right. Now, so you said taught. Is that Davidson Davie Community College, or where'd you teach?
No, I actually taught chemistry my first year out of college. I was trying to pay back an enormous loan that I had of $2,000 from Winston-Salem Foundation. They were good to me, Henry Carter. But anyhow, I stayed in that for 15 years, went back for a master's degree in community development, was hired as a community relations person with the Lexington City Schools. I happened to live inside that district, even though I was teaching in Davidson County when my wife and I were married.
Right.
And then went back for an EDS with the intent of becoming a school superintendent and retiring at 50. I'm 72 now.
Right.
I took a detour when talking to a pastor at Winston-Salem First back in 1987. And he began talking to me about, you think you could do for a large church what you do for a small school system.
Right.
And I said, that's interesting. I resigned and was executive pastor at Winston-Salem First for 8 years, contracted with them for about 18 through master council. That way it gave me more latitude to work in other areas. I was on the planning board at the time, that sort of thing. That's sort of my history that brought me to Winston-Salem.
Okay.
Too fast?
So are you, so now you're the Honorable Reverend?
Well, I have been ordained by two different organizations. I went from associate superintendent to executive pastor to consultant to mayor to realtor to nonprofit, yada, yada coach. That's I've got a book coming out called A Catalyst for Change.
Yep.
That walks through about 5 sectors. I've been really privileged to have a wonderful life.
I think the thing that I most am impressed with you is your you are a lot of people's board of directors, let's say. I want to get back to talking about how you have touched so many people in the community. But I have to ask you a second question. What's your favorite place to eat? Don't you be political. Join's got on here and said there's so many wonderful restaurants in Winston-Salem.
No, I love Pete's in Clemmons.
Pete's Family Restaurant.
And when the kids are with me, the grandkids, we have a 4 and a near 6-year-old. We love to eat at Brick Oven.
Okay. Yeah, Brick Oven. All right. Yep. Right across the street from Pete's. So you don't leave Clemmons?
Very seldom.
I'm surprised you didn't say Sherry's, but you said that's your wife's favorite place?
My wife loves to take her sister there.
I don't get Sherry's. I really honestly, I think that they spike the food with something to get all the ladies to just love it. I mean, I've been there. The food's good.
There's a Venus Mars thing going on. I don't get it either.
Yeah. I mean, I like the food. It's a great restaurant, but it's like if you, they're there, right there. Yeah. It's a great restaurant. Yeah. All right. And then what's your favorite thing to do in Winston-Salem, Forsyth County?
Probably my favorite thing to do in Winston-Salem, Forsyth County is be involved in real estate deals. I was talking to a realtor here today in Blowing Rock, and I'm in Blowing Rock right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, it doesn't look like you're in Winston, so.
No, it's raining here in the mountains, but I was talking to him about that addiction of the deal. It's just really interesting. I've got 2 or 3, mostly commercial now. If I'm involved with a residential, it's a friend that I'm trying to help.
Or a family member.
But I love real estate. I really do.
It is addictive, though. And I was telling you before when we were in the green room before we came live, I had a deal where the person didn't want to move out of the house.
Yeah.
They weren't done moving out, and it's like,
Yeah.
this was my client's house at like 9:30 this morning, and it's now 1:00. You don't own this house anymore. You need to leave.
Yeah.
And so that was unfortunate, but I mean, it's all worked out.
Yeah.
I sent my locksmith over to change the locks. They're happy now.
Yeah. It's all about relationship. It really is. Real estate is.
Well, I got to ask you a question since you're up there. Is the speckled trout open?
They're actually putting some outside dining there. I noticed yesterday as we drove in.
All right. And then what's the one that's around behind the park that's so good that I never remember the name of it, that, you about get hit by a car when you walk because it's on that curve there. It has all the dog pictures.
The dog pictures.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I'm missing something. Apparently, it's not one I eat at a lot.
No, it's good, though. It's good. I can't remember what the name of it is. All right, so what I was alluding to earlier is the board of directors of the Confidant. I mean, you and I have a mutual friend that had just a horrific, tragic loss. And the first person he talks to is you. And, if Brad Hunter likes you, that says a lot.
Yeah.
But then there's been other people that have said, well, I talked to John Bost about this, and, and then of course we have Nigel on, and he's talking about his best friend, you. And so you're an influencer. I mean, you are a catalyst for change. Tell me how you got to this point in your life. I mean, to be, it's, I don't know. I think it's one of those things of where, what an honor to be considered and revered as much as you are by your friends. You're on the spot.
I try not to get emotional when you get at that part. I just really love people. I love feeling loved. I tell people on the disc, I'm a high D if I need to be. I can tell you, where do you plan to be next year about this time, to imply that you probably aren't going to be where you are right now.
Right.
And then that night when I go home, if I know it was really a hard conversation, I can have it, but I'll hurt all night.
I always feel like I've hurt somebody if I really analyze the things that I say to people. So it sounds like you've got that. By the way, I'm a high I.
Oh, really?
Oh, a high I. I've got some D, but the one you'll love is I'm like a 7 on the C.
Yeah. I've got a real high balance. I might even be 8 or 9 on both of them. One I think is more learned, and in terms, I have worked with some really good people, great leaders, CEO types, some of the best senior pastors around, with one of the best mayors in the whole Southeast, Alan Joins. I just work with some really good people, and you can learn. It's like you can learn to be the D, but you can't escape the I.
Right.
And yet what I'm learning is the DI, the balanced DI, is referred to as reformer, initiator. That's the whole catalyst piece. I tell people, if I hang around you long, change will occur. So if you're not ready to change, you really don't want me to be around you. Whether it's a personal change, a corporate change, whatever, community change, I just love to be a part of maybe even the chaos that always precedes a change.
So, Mayor of Clemmons, I know your wife probably looked at you and said, "What the heck are you doing?"
Yeah.
You served,
especially after the third term.
Yeah, I was going to say, you served several terms. In fact, you were mayor when I was on council, I think, in Louisville. And
right.
And so the only mayor you dealt with, was it Bob or was it Hank and Bob?
I have. You mean
when you were
the only mayor that I dealt with?
When you were in office. Which was who, Hank or Bob?
Hank Perkins?
No, Hank Chilton. So it must have just been Bob. Did you just deal with Bob Stebbins when you were in office, or was it Mike, or who else?
When I was in office, Dan Pugh was in office.
Okay, all right. I thought you were before that. Yeah.
No, Dan Pugh and John Ferguson in Bermuda Run were
Right.
the three, of course, Allen and Winston-Salem, and then I think there's about 8 different municipalities in Forsyth County, but
Right.
great people.
Yeah, I just joined the fraternity with Dan. I moved out of Louisville. I just
Oh,
resigned.
really?
I just
Yeah.
resigned yesterday from my poor.
Oh, really?
I was the I'm the ABC. I was the ABC board member for Louisville, and I had to resign yesterday. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm in the county now, so
Okay.
it
Okay.
wasn't a fun move.
Yeah.
I got to put the C on my address, so I don't know about that
Yeah.
Clemmons thing. But you know what? I'm in a good school district. My daughter would go to Southwest Elementary, which is kind of cool because one of my clients is the assistant principal, but the principal he works for is just a mean, horrible lady.
Yes, she is me in a dress, is what I tell people. Me in a skirt.
Awesome.
Yeah, she's a wonderful. Her parents love her. She loves kids. I mean, the kids are first, and then the parents are there, and then of course the system and all that has to happen. But she gets it. I told her we did have done so many things during her life that probably you wouldn't do with a kid, but she must have been listening. She's a great leader.
She is a phenomenal leader. Yeah. And what's funny is when you go, her parents love her. I'm like, well, of course her parents love her. You're talking about the parents of her kids love her. and I feel blessed that I've had a chance to work with Justin and Andrea so many times. They're just good people, and they think the world of her too. And
yeah.
No. So your daughter's principal of Southwest, and I mean they have a food pantry there. I mean it's a great school.
Yeah, she's done a great job. She's been there. I think this is her 3rd or 4th year, and I just am amazed at who she has become.
Mm-hmm. Well, all right. So I keep telling people I want to write a book, but I don't know what the heck I'm ever going to write. I've kiddingly said I want to talk about being a plug, because when I taught at Winston-Salem State a little bit, the kids were like, "Oh, Mr. Mack, you're a plug," which basically connect people. But you are just. How many books have you written now? Is this your first or your second?
No, this is actually my 3rd, if you count Jake and John.
I don't even want to talk. I'm ending the call. I can't believe you've written 3 books.
Well, Jake and John is a small children's book for probably about 5th graders. I wrote it with a young kid who was, I had the privilege of being involved with probably from the time he's 8 till he's now 24, I believe. And we did a lot of fishing together and stuff like that. So that's Jake and John. Before that, the more controversial, that if I had released it this year, it might have sold thousands.
Repo Church in Foreclosure?
It's called The Church in Foreclosure.
Yeah.
And you asked me a while ago about things I love. I really love being the church. I tell people that, when they say, what do you do? I'd like to think I kind of pastor a city. Because I really think that the Little C Church, I'll refer to it that way, the Little C Church, or the churches that dot almost every corner in America, and it's like we're in a moment where God might be saying, "How's that working for you?"
Mm-hmm.
And that was the premise. That change is coming. That was in 2009. I had no idea we'd be facing something like we're facing right now in 2020, and then the book that I've got a website up called John the Catalyst.
Right. I'll put that in the liner notes. I was actually writing some stuff down here, but I'll put that in the liner notes.
But anyway, the book, I'm going to kind of unpack it there. I wrote the book more from a leadership perspective, even though there are spiritual overtones in there, but it's not a religious book. And yet I plan to fully unpack some of that on johnthecatalyst.com. But what I have learned in the 5 sectors I've worked in, which are education, number 1, number 2, religion and the faith community, number 3 is the marketplace, Master Council, that I've worked with 20 years, the company I have. And number 4 is governance. I've been on the planning board 8 years, mayor 3 terms, and you never get away from it. You really don't.
No, you're still, yeah. Besides being the pastor of Clemmons, I mean, everyone still calls you mayor.
And then number 4, the nonprofits I've been involved with, from Smart Start to Love Out Loud to Saltbox, on and on. And what I've found is that the leaders in each of those sectors think through different risk filters.
Right.
And you have to understand their risk filter before you can really be in position to encourage the kind of collaboration that's necessary for community. The interesting thing, if they're leaders in those sectors and strong leaders, they are opinionated leaders. They have a sense that their sector may in fact be the sector.
Right.
And recognizing who's around the table and understanding those risk filters is really my objective in writing the book. Because the thing I love is community. I'll put it that way.
No one cares how much you know until they know how much you care, and you sure know a lot. I smirked when you were talking earlier because that's my new line for you, the pastor of Clemmons.
I don't tell. I dawned on me while I was saying that to you. I say that only to people that I think will understand, and realize, oh my God.
Don't worry, no one's gonna watch this. We're not gonna push it out there really big or anything like that. Yeah. People coming up to you going, Pastor, how's it going?
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. I had a lady that I was showing a while back, and she was talking about it's like a mission swerve or something like that, or a mission veer. It's where money makes the mission of the organization swerve a little bit differently, and it was kind of I forget what the term is that she used exactly, but
mission drift.
Mission drift. Thank you very much. And I will tell you, you talked about one place. Lou Baldwin invited me to Love Out Loud.
Yeah.
What an awesome organization. I want to get them on and talk to them as well. Yeah. But, I mean, I was really surprised. That's where I heard that for the first time that we had talked about before the show of you're born in Forsyth poor, and then you're going to die poor, that we have horrible economic mobility. And, of course, our last show was with Craig Richardson talking about that. The study's getting ready to be released on some of the things they recommend. You know, you are an influencer, you are a catalyst and stuff. What are some things that you're seeing in these organizations that are giving you hope? Because I know you feel the same way as I do about that. That needs to stop, and we need to start moving.
Well, I was talking to a friend of mine who I met back in '87, who leads a group called Communities of the Future. He's a former textile CEO and futurist now, World Future Society member, that sort of thing. And we were talking about complexity and the whole move from industrial mindset of strategic planning, where you can you almost know what the outcome's going to be. And so you just back up and basically out of that come the steps to move toward. That's not the case anymore. You can't assure 10 years, 5 years, maybe even tomorrow.
Right.
And so the whole he refers that as to the complexity and the need for adaptive planning, or complex adaptive planning would be his 3 words.
Right.
And I love to engage with people and be with people of vision, people that have dreams, that really are persistent, able to pay the price, and yet at the same time very others oriented. I love to be among people like that. I just described Love Out Loud to you.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, and I was really surprised at what this wonderful organization that I'd never even heard of. And, I still thank Lou every time I talk to him about inviting me. And yeah, I mean, I want to help out there and get more involved. It's funny. I had someone, I was doing a listing presentation yesterday, and the lady said, "Do you know so-and-so?" And I go, I don't know who you're talking about. And she goes, "What? Everyone in town knows who that is." It was when I was in Appalachian. I mean, I focused on fraternity, I guess, but I focused on my schoolwork. Yeah, I had to have a bonus year to finish up all my schoolwork, but I didn't really do things. I didn't go up to the Parkway every weekend or things like that. So this is what this is for me. Camel City Chat is me learning more about my town and sharing it with others. People are like, "Oh, well, you're a realtor." I don't talk about, I mean, everyone knows I'm a realtor, but I want to be John, the guy that knows people, that, cares about the community. And then, hey, if you're looking for a realtor, and that may be the one leg up I have on that next person. Of course, everyone knows you're the pastor of Clemmons, so they're going to call you first. But, so those things, all those things together, I just want to have fun and talk to people that I don't normally get to talk to. I mean, you and I have known each other for years, but it's the longest we've ever talked, except for Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
And
to me, relationship is everything. My book is just laden with that word. And I'm risking some relationships because in the book I'm very transparent. And on the front end, I both say to people that if you're named in the book, I'm honoring you. If an organization's named a book, I'm honoring it. But it's so localized that I can hardly escape that. And yet at the same time, I'm asking for permission to both be transparent with my own thoughts and may at times even reflect some of the weaknesses of others.
Right.
But that's the only way you can learn. And,
that's how you learn.
Hopefully that'll happen. But if I do, back to our DI conversation, if I do injure a relationship, I'll do everything within my power to make that work in a positive way down the road, because you never know moving down the road when you'll need someone. And yet it's not a matter of a selfish need. It's just a reality. I mean, relationship is everything with human beings. It just really is.
Yeah. I mean, if I hurt somebody's feeling, it breaks my heart. I mean, it really does. I'm too sensitive about that, I guess. I mean, even my enemies, I still worry about them. I don't know always who they are, but I mean, they're people that there's a guy I went to school with that I don't talk to anymore, and we were good friends. I still to this day don't know what I did, and it bothers you sometimes. But I mean, you just try to be the best person, and you're talking about God or what. If he ain't in the plan, then we got a problem. So,
Well, let me tell you a secret to my life. I really am being authentic here. I believe that every person represents a unique piece of God. I believe that God is that inexhaustible. So when I meet a person, I'm meeting a piece of God that has never existed before, will never exist again. And so my objective is, as best as I can, get to know that person, because the more people I then know, the more I know of God. I think that's powerful.
Well, we are all a reflection of God, and it's an opportunity for us to get to meet him. Yeah. And, the thing that I heard one time, and I just heard it in the last year, is I'd much rather see a sermon than hear one.
Yeah. Well, unpacking that, I tell people, if I can describe my life and my life opportunities, my life contributions without sounding arrogant, I'm living below my means. If you say, and you really believe that you reflect a piece of God, that's an awesome statement.
Right. Yeah.
So unpacking that for the sake of others is a powerful way to give your life.
Yeah, true. I mean, you have a strong faith. Where do you go to church?
I actually am attending Renolda Presbyterian now. The
home
reality
of 10,000 Easter eggs.
Well, no. But my wife is really interesting. My wife is a Joseph Prince junkie. Now, you can look up who Joseph Prince is. He's from Singapore, I believe. From Singapore. But anyhow, she was describing, she reads his books. And I said, you're describing Alan Wright. Mm-hmm. And I said, she said, well, we'll take an off Sunday, go over and see him. We went over, and lo and behold, that Sunday, they announced to the congregation that they were opening a church plant, the YMCA in Clemmons. I'm like, oh my word, now I know why we're here. And of course, my wife said, if you think I'm going to put chairs up in the gym at my age, you're crazy. And then secondly, she said, if you don't
Honey, you're the greeter. Honey, you're the greeter.
Well, I tried to explain that to her. Yep. But secondly, she said, if you think I'm going to any other church than this one right now, you're wrong also, because she just loves Alan Wright. And I do too.
He is the BOSST.
He is a good man. I met him through NCS. I can name the pastors on one hand. Do you know New Canaan Society meets at River Birch Lodge?
Okay, so you ready? I just had my first meal out, sitting at a table with my family. I'm across this, and this is what I was going to tell everybody. I'm across the street because, we were going to talk later on tonight, and you said, can we do this?
Yeah.
I am sitting in front of the Starbucks across the street. They got great internet. So I'm sorry that I'm using the national chain here, but I just ate at River Birch, and I know several people. Keith Rogers is a member of that, and several other people. And
there's probably 1,000 guys that frequent that place.
Right.
On Fridays. It's really interesting, but I've never seen people standing in the parking lot. It's just interesting how people are so mobile. I was on a call the other day with 5,000 people globally that NCS was a part of. That's how much reach that Winston-Salem, which was the second NCS on the globe. The first was in New Canaan, Connecticut.
Okay.
And Jay Helby began one at River Oaks Presbyterian, and then went to Eddie's place on at River Birch Lodge.
Right.
And it is amazing the number of sites now across the U.S. I think there's now 3 annual retreats, regional retreats. I've been to Turkey, Lebanon, different places with them on what's called road trips. We just go and encourage people that really their life is at risk.
Yeah.
But that's that New Canaan, and then of course the New Canaan Society. I would be remiss if I don't mention the New Canaan East, which meets at Forsyth Seafood, and the conversations that are occurring now, given the dilemma in our nation, and frankly a long-term dilemma in Winston-Salem, between Winston-Salem proper and East Winston. The conversations that are happening there across cultural lines are huge and amazingly refreshing.
It was interesting to me, and I think you were in that video where it was just have a cup of coffee at what is it, downtown? I know Lou was in the video, but that's
Camino's or somewhere like that.
No, it's the one that's over near Innovation Quarter. It's the big one that I just can't remember what the name of it is.
Okay.
But so they have coffee there, and Crankies, and everybody sits at the table and just
exactly
you unbutton your shirt, you roll up your sleeves, and you just talk about what's on your mind. I mean, today we had the sheriff and the mayor talking about how we're handling the situation with what's going on in Minnesota, and but you got to have the dialogue, and you are you are instrumental in a lot of this dialogue, because there is a line that people don't understand. And when I was working with Winston-Salem State, I'm like, look, you don't understand. So if the other team's band don't come, invite West Forsyth over here, because a lot of people are afraid to come over. But if their kids here, they'll come over. They'll see that what we all know, that Winston-Salem State's a safe place. Every place has a fight every once in a while. And the next thing you know, then we've got more fans, because it's all about creating fans, because fans then create income.
Well, let me tell you, I'm trying to determine how much of the story to tell you, but short story is Chuck Spong was a producer for Willow Creek in Chicago, and doing their international leadership initiative, which has a site in Winston-Salem. But Chuck came down to Winston-Salem first. I was mowing my daughter's yard that day, and I sat down the steps of the phone rang. And he said, I was told I needed to talk to you about how we can really influence this city.
Right.
Honestly, we struggle with how to go about and we said, why don't we just throw a big party? Just throw a party for the city. And so my partner and I rented from Greg, we rented the Millennium Center for Greg Carlisle, who grew up in the front yard with me. Frankly, our dads were brick masons.
He's hilarious. I like Greg.
I love Greg. And but we did that, and I thought this was the corniest thing. And my wife and I violated all the fire regulations. We came up here, maybe went to Sparta and cut a big old Christmas tree and tied it on top of our Jeep.
Right.
That blew off. We brought it down and dropped it in the back parking lot, and Greg and all of us put it up. The wife decorated. I thought this is going to be the corniest thing you've ever done. I walked into that place that night and began to cry at how diverse. I mean, I sat, I think maybe it's the second year, I sat beside of Anthony Atala, and on the other side of me was a homeless person, and we were watching kids sing from Forsyth Country Day. That was just a powerful thing. And it just out, 3 years, we had to look for another place in the Benton Convention Center, but it's what it is this ongoing dialogue that sometimes is in small groups, like you mentioned at Cranky's.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's 10,000 people talking in the hallways. That's powerful.
Yeah, I think, and honestly, I think one of the things that's really struggled with me is, you live in Clemmons, I live in the county. I'm not saying I live in Clemmons.
Yeah.
Don't ask me what my address is, though, because I got to say we live in Forsyth County, and the biggest example that concerned me was your daughter's school. I mean, there's 20, 30 families that kids go to Southwest that they have to come and get food.
Yeah.
To complete their meals for the month.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be happening. I mean, we can help. We can do better.
Yeah. Well, the beauty of the parents at Southwest that I've observed actually when Mike Hayes was there, the first year I was elected mayor as an educator, I went to him and I said, if you had a mayor that was an educator that wanted to help you, what would you have him do?
Right.
And he said, well, immediately, he mentioned the mobile home park there on Peace Haven.
Right.
Ironically, I drove from the school over to the park, and the actual owner of the park was there that day. And out of that, in a conversation with River Oaks Church and Agape Faith, something began in there. But there is such capacity among the parents and such care at Southwest. The amount of money they're able to raise every year is phenomenal. So
that Super Bowl thing is just a great way to get. I mean, it's I want you to know. I mean, if you look at me, and I was looking down, I'm in my Carface.
Well, you need to tell folks that I'm sitting in a rocking
and what
chair
I'm trying to do is figure out how much time I got. Huh?
I may look goofy sitting here with a cell phone in a rocking chair.
Yeah, no, but yeah, so no, I'm in my Carface, and I'm trying to figure out how much time I got before I got to get this next appointment since we moved it up.
It's 4:32.
Yeah, I know, but I want to make sure that you know that's why I'm not paying. I'm not paying attention. I'm paying attention.
No, I'm fine.
Yeah. And so, but I'm just touched by your heart, and I think that again, as we go back, I mean, we were in Blowing Rock, Banner Elk area when that happened last year. How do you handle, or 2 years ago now, how do you handle when you are called in to consult, assist, minister with friends when it's some of this stuff that's happened recently, like with Mason and things like that? I mean, that takes a man to do that stuff. And I mean, or someone very, very, very strong.
Well, what I tell people, probably the only gift I have is the gift of showing up.
All right.
I show up. I mean, I can talk to you about landfills. I can talk to you about recycling facility. I can talk to you about a lumber project in Nicaragua. Some of these things I've discussed in the book. I have this confidence that when I show up, then God shows out. Now, I'm just not trying to go religious on you, but
no, I'm writing that one down too.
It's a reality to me, and I'll go one step further with you since you opened that can of worms. Again, I was raised with 3 other kids and a dad who I understand was making about $60 a week,
right,
at Western Electric and loading trucks at night so that we could have a car. So I know what poverty is. And yet at the same time, whether it's white privilege or whatever it is, Winston-Salem has been very good to me. And yet at the same time, being raised in church, I'm 4th generation Pentecostal. I've seen everything you can imagine, good and bad. I know what it is to witness a phenomenal miracle. I've never seen anyone raised from the dead.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen a cold body start breathing.
Right.
Okay. I've seen people in a coma that would suddenly sit up and start talking. This guy's name was Leonard, and his wife, who had been ready for his death at 70-some, said,
Mm-hmm.
Leonard, what's come over you? And he said, the Lord has come over me. That was so powerful for me. I was in my early 20s, and I had come to Christ at 25 years of age, and then people would start talking to me that were believers. They hadn't talked to me before for some reason. I was a rough customer,
Right.
even though I was a high school teacher. And so I began to do what people began to recommend that I did. And particularly as I got into scriptures, I just didn't see the kind of powerful things happening in cities. I saw some, I heard some testimonies from churches, but I said, God, this doesn't sound right to me, because these people turned their cities upside down.
Right.
How does? And so here's a statement. It's a quote in my book. If a creature can give the creator permission, this creature gives you permission to do whatever you need to do in his life to make him able to impact cities. And I heard a voice say to me, wherever I send you, seek that city. If not this city, the next. I'll give you a city.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I can't lie to you and say I didn't hear that. And so my whole life has been about showing up to impact cities.
That's amazing.
It's been amazing.
Yeah.
I have such privilege. I mean, I've not been in Blowing Rock long up here. My wife and I bought a place here about a year ago. And in between that and mitral valve repair and everything else, my mom died. We had a 95-year-old we were power of attorney for, a non-relative. We moved down the street from. They had no kids. Just
Right.
buried her. It's been a crazy time. But in the meantime, I've met the mayor, had an invitation to be on the planning board. All I have to do is show up, man. It's powerful.
Yeah, but tell the mayor he better be worried. Just tell him he better be worried.
No. I don't intend my
You're
wife.
going to be mayor soon. All right, I got a couple minutes before I got to go.
No, I'd have to have a divorce attorney right here beside of me.
Yeah,
I'm not going there.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So I got to go show a house here, man. I got to work.
Hey, make some money.
Yep. So we've kind of talked about where we've been. So what I want to say is, what do you want to be remembered for? And then I got the heavy hitter for a couple minutes.
I hope that, as I told people when I walked through this book, it's been therapeutic for me. I used the word droppings when I was talking to someone this morning. I know I've had some impact. I can see some droppings along the way, but I really would love to be known as a person that loves people, that expects the best out of people, that believes the dreams of people, understands enough to enable their own collaboration, and in the end, because of that, have been a part of constructing, in whatever places I've been, true community. I really do believe, I got to go here. This is the pastor part of me. Yeah. On the Thursday before Jesus was crucified, he did the Last Supper, and we've got Michelangelo or whoever it was that painted that. I think that's what it was. But anyhow, he had the disciples to set up the Seder feast. They'd done that every year of their life. He knew they'd do it after he's dead. That's just what they did. That's religion. So he sits down in the room with them and starts reading their mail. You have the conversations. You can read them in the Gospels.
Yeah.
And then here's the part I think we missed. After everyone in the room knew and had felt what true community was like, he reached and got the cup and said, now, as often as you drink this cup, because you will, do this. And I think he moved his arms to the side like that, as if to say, what I've been doing with you, do community. Somehow in our little C churches, we missed that. I've gone to preaching. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I don't think that Michelangelo did that. I want to think that it's Da Vinci, but I may be wrong.
I started to say Leonardo da Vinci, but I didn't want to.
But I'm sorry. We'll add art historian to your resume as well. All right. So, last question.
All right.
Where do you want to see our community go? And I'll give you the whole county since you're out there in Clemmons. So, where do you want to see?
Tell Alan. Alan is my mayor. Mayor joins.
You're darn right. If I could vote for him, I would.
Yeah, the greater Winston-Salem area actually touches North Davidson. It skips across the Yadkin a little bit and into Yadkin County. Uh, I believe this is one of the transformational cities in America, and I can tell you that based on 3 guys from Zimbabwe that came to see me when I was praying over the city. You probably don't know this stuff. And they came to me that heard of me through Promise Keepers. We had a conversation. That's another story, but that has to do with why.
I have you on again.
That has to do with why Love Out Loud began in the Millennium Center. They said that's where it'll start. But they said, we came to tell you that your city is one of the transformational cities in America. The reason they came is they had just survived a bloodbath in Rhodesia.
Right.
That was racial. And they said, and when we won, and I remember the elder in the group, there was a guy about my age now, this 20 years ago, looked at me, and there's this pregnant pause, and I'm thinking this might not be good for the white guy on the 24th vacant floor of the Wachovia building. Right. He said, but when we won, the Lord spoke. My hair stood up in the back of my head when he said this. The Lord spoke to us and said, your battle is not racial, it's spiritual. Take this message to America, not to start churches, but to take cities. And that's when he said, your city is one of the transformational cities in America. I believe that the racial overtones that we're beginning to address in our city are very, very critical. I think that Venture Cafe and all that's happening with the new economy, I think all that's a part. And I think eventually we'll see a city that no longer boasts that if a person is born poor in it, there's a 95% chance that it'll remain poor. You mentioned that on the front end of this conversation. I haven't forgotten it yet. I have great hope for our city. I just do. But
I share that hope too. I mean,
yeah,
it's a wonderful place to live.
Yeah. I can tell you this one thing, you got to go sell a house.
That's okay.
I brought an 86-year-old lady in a wheelchair to the 24th floor of the Winston Tower, right, who was actually a part of a South Korean church that has this facility called Prayer Mountain, where right, they pray. I mean, they know how to pray. And I said, will you pray over the city for an hour? This from South Korea, right, that happened to be in town. And I will come back and I want you to.
Hold on.
The ribbon.
You say that again? She said
I said, I'll come back in an hour. I want you to tell me what you heard. When I walked in the room, she said, show me the ribbon in the city. I'll recognize it. There's a ribbon that divides this city. It's both physical and spiritual. I rolled her to the east side of Winston Tower. I knew immediately what she's talking about. She'd never seen 52 before.
Yeah.
Okay? But that's the part I want to see, racial reconciliation, and you'll see that addressed in book 2. I want to see racial reconciliation come to this city.
Right.
I think that's critical.
I agree with you.
This city has so much heritage. You can push all the way back to the martyrdom of John Huss.
Yeah.
I'll have to be on again sometime. I can really go somewhere.
Yeah, no, we need to talk again. All right, so I've not said this before to a guest. I think we need to say amen at the end of because we've heard a sermon. So here we go, folks. Camel City Chat. We'll be back soon. Be back next week. Our guest is the Honorable Reverend John R. Bost, art historian. And I appreciate you guys being here. And we'll be back with more Camel City Chat next week. Thanks, Reverend.